Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Here is your tarot reading for the week ahead. As ever, please take what's helpful, leave what isn't. This is purely a guide, a bit of a reference point as to what energies may be coming up for you in the week ahead. We're going to start here with the 10 of Wands. It's not necessarily your first card, but it is the card that perhaps best describes some of the challenges that are in front of you this week. Now, let me just preface by saying a lot of the readings this week have been a little bit challenging, but the important thing to remember is that to be forewarned is to be forearmed, and we have to take the rough with the smooth. And very often the focus here will be about, well, how do we circumnavigate some of these challenges, rather than just hearing the negative and assuming, oh, it's going to be a terrible week. That is not the case whatsoever. It may feel at times, however, that you're wading through treacle, that things are feeling a little bit more effortful than they have ordinarily. I know for Scorpio particularly, there's been quite a good run of readings over the past couple of months. Yes, okay, there's been a couple of little blips here and there. That's by no means to say that it all comes crashing down. Indeed, this is one of the more positive, challenging readings that I've seen. The reason I mention the Ten of Wands, this Lord of Oppression, is just as a reassurance, really, that if things feel a little bit more that you're trying to push water uphill, if they're not feeling as in flow as they have before, don't necessarily assume that that means that things are inherently wrong. Indeed, sometimes the advice around the Ten of Wands is about, well, what can you delegate? What can you delete? What can you do to lessen the load in some ways? And to me, it's not necessarily a message of, well, you've just got to grit your teeth and put up with it. By no means. It's important to make those necessary adjustments. I'm just emphasizing the fact that energetically there's something within the water, pun intended, being a water sign of Scorpio. And particularly as the Ten of Wands is the suit of fire, and fire and water doesn't necessarily always mix. If you find yourself having to juggle lots of things, having to just apply yourself a bit more than an ordinarily would to not seemingly get much result, don't necessarily take that personally. The other card that you have upright within your readings, really nice to see, is the King of Wands. The King of Wands is the visionary card. He is able to keep his eyes fixed on the prize. He's very creative, very dynamic, very charismatic, has this great ability for leadership. It's really key that you cultivate those kinds of qualities within yourself this week. If you start to feel that, yes, okay, it's starting to get a bit heavy, it's starting to feel a bit trudgy, look at, well, what am I doing this for? Keep your eye on the prize. That would be the turn of phrase that probably best summarizes the most useful way through this week. Is going, what am I trying to achieve? What am I looking at? Why am I doing this? If the answer arises, actually, why am I doing this? I don't need to be doing this at all. It's a complete waste of time. That could be very, very useful. However, if you are just in some ways feeling impatient or frustrated that the results aren't quite showing themselves, it's a funny time this time of year because we're just starting to move into spring. We're just starting to feel those buds. Hopefully those buds starting to sprout. We can feel these lighter days coming, these longer days coming, and we're starting to feel the promise of this next cycle, but we're not quite out of the claws of winter just yet. So that can be a little bit of a frustrating time. You have here 3 reversed cards. They're very, very similar. Indeed, we had the Queen of Pentacles in reversed in the reading of Cancer. There is a large overlap between you and your watery cousin. You've got the Queen of Pentacles and the Page of Pentacles reversed. For Cancer, it was Queen of Pentacles and Ten of Pentacles. What I said to them, I'm going to repeat here. And that is feeling as though some of our efforts, some of the things that we've been spending time and energy and putting that into, again, aren't showing the fruits of our labor as perhaps we might want to. You may also find, and this slightly diverges from what I said to Cancer, you may also find you're not quite sure, partly your way out of the Ten of Wands energy. I don't know how to alleviate some of these responsibilities, but also in part you may be feeling, I don't know what I'm meant to be doing next, or I don't know where I'm meant to be planting my next seeds. That is what the Page of Pentacles represents. He has this seed. Where am I going to plant it? Where is it going to flourish the most? I'm not entirely sure. You could, the Page of Pentacles, I didn't know this until now, I'm just being told, also represents procrastination. So are you falling into displacement activity? In some ways, is that making things a little more convoluted and complex than it needs to be? Sometimes, I'm again talking from personal experience, often the things that I want to do last are put off and off and off, and all that does is draw out the displeasure and draw out the pain. A little bit like if you get into a cold sea and you do it bit by bit, it can feel kind of quite painful, whereas if you just plunge in and throw yourself in, it's often, yeah, we're not prolonging our agony by any means. Your final card that is reversed is the Six of Cups, the Lord of Pleasure. The Queen of Pentacles and the Six of Cups in combination often talks about the home, and particularly the pleasure that can be derived from the small things, the little comforts within life. That can be, I love curling up with a good book on my favorite settee. That could be taking a bath. That could be getting things really in order and clean and tidy and keeping house, so to speak. And very often that being a place of sanctuary and reassurance. For whatever reason this week, you may find that that pleasure that you derive from the home, the dynamics within the home, the sanctuary of the home, isn't so easily accessible as it has been of recent time. Doesn't necessarily mean anything's inherently wrong or needs large adjustments. You may just find that those things that you normally pick up and is a good distraction or you kind of enjoy. To put it into example, sometimes, you're watching a TV series and you love it and you binge it, and then you just watch that next episode and you're like, oh, I'm bored with this now. Oh, I don't want to see this anymore. It's that kind of feeling coming through a little bit more. My only kind of the guiding light within all of this is that King of Wands energy. Therefore, don't lose sight of your long-term wishes, your long-term goals, and ultimately, and I know I'm repeating myself here, but it bears repeating, ultimately looking at why did I start this in the first place? It's showing appreciation for what you have rather than focusing on a point of lack, if I had to summarize it. If you want more, go and check out your sun, moon, and rising. The best way to do that is just to follow the pinned comment below, the link in the pinned comment below, and it'll show you how to do that for free. And it will also invite you, there's an opportunity to sign up to the email so that you never miss a reading again. But until next time, have a fabulous, fabulous week. It will all be fine. And I shall see you then. Bye for now.